Yeah, you can't sit here and believe that depression is a thing. Get off your tail. And and this is another thing with this whole program that I want. It's tough love, man. I'm sorry about your feelings. The truth doesn't care about your feelings. It will never care about your feelings, which is why I speak the truth. Even in my social media, when like, and especially like a lot of these women don't like what I say. I don't care. If and there's a lot of weak men out there who don't like what I say. I don't care. If I lose you as a follower, so be it. I'm not for you. I'm not going to sugarcoat life. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything to make you feel better about yourself. You need to pull yourself up, grab your sack or whatever else, and man up. Like that's how I look at
Well, let's jump right in, and I'll have you introduce yourself, and then maybe just tell us a little bit about your story from the beginning.
it. Sounds good. Sounds good. My name is Errol Cruz. I'm originally from Florida. I moved up to Maryland for a job opportunity. I became a state trooper up here in Maryland. I wanted to be one of the best in the country, and I heard that Maryland had one of the hardest academies, and they were one of the best, what they call the Maryland's finest. So I wanted to be a part of that, and moved up here. I'm like north of Baltimore, and really enjoyed that. Did that for 12 years, but I'm 41. I am kind of going through it. Well, I'm going through a divorce right now, and I want to kind of share the hardships of what I went through because we're all going to suffer in life. We're all going to go through hardships in life. Those are purposeful. Those are needed in us for in order for us to become the men that we need to be in life. And I grew up in Gordonville, Florida. I grew up in the hood. I'm talking about the hood, my man. Like my my mom, my dad, my grandparents, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, everybody was drug dealers. And in Gordonville, man, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, like I remember like seeing like people coming in and like shooting at my mom's bar, and my mom rolling out the door with a Tech 9 Uzi shooting back. Like she had us like laid down on the ground in the bar because people were shooting in, and like I remember a guy coming in the front door of her bar and his head was hammered in, like beat in with a hammer, and he's blood everywhere. Someone that she knew. I mean, I've seen as a child, man, some of her friends having sex with prostitutes in one of the bedrooms in my grandmother's house, like just kind of walking in on that. And so when we talk about like hardships, like I went through some crap in life and seeing a lot of crap in life, and our environment can definitely shape us in different ways, right? It can either shape us to go to the dark side or it can shape us to go to the light. And it's all a choice. It just depends on what it is you're trying to like, what you want out of life. And I chose the light. Um, my mom decided to leave that area because she didn't want to go to jail and lose all of her kids. I'm the oldest of four boys. And she also raised two of my cousins. So when she decided to leave, my grandmother, my aunt, and my dad got arrested for drug conspiracy. So they were in prison for 17 or so years
Damn.
or more. So my mom got out, and like my mom had connections with like people she knew when she grew up in high school, like law enforcement that would be like, hey, we love you. You need to get out of there because there's
Yeah.
going to be a raid, and she would just leave and they would come in, sure enough, come in and wreck the place. You know what I'm saying? But, she wanted a better life for us and she took us to the country. I grew up in the swamp in Polk City, Florida, man. We, we were out in the woods, man, when we were kids. There was no online video games or anything like that. We went out there in the woods, we were paintballing, we were doing all the manhunts and stuff. And that kept us out of trouble,
Hmm.
you know? So in seventh grade, I remember this, man. I remember my uncle, um, his wife, who was my aunt, he was getting abused. Like you talking about like domestic violence. They don't talk about men's domestic violence. They don't talk about men being abused. Men have the capability of being abused, but we don't talk about it because it looks makes us look weak. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they have this mindset of looking weak. However, my uncle was with a knife. He was burned with an iron. She shot him before, and it went through, and the bullet lodged in his elbow. Like the bullet was still in his elbow. Like we would like as kids would like do this to his
Yeah,
elbow
flick
because
it.
there was a bullet in it, right? And then eventually he finally said, you know what, enough is enough. He left her. Well, when he did that, she kind of lured him back, saying, she needed help with something or whatever. And later, she murdered him.
Wow.
And so we don't we don't think she did it alone because she had lupus. So she was like, my uncle was pretty big. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, um, so we figured that she had help. So he was shot multiple times, and then he was wrapped in a heating blanket, taken to one of the orange groves in Wild Mama, Florida, dropped his body off, doused in gasoline, and was lit on fire.
Jesus.
Okay. Now, I guess God wanted him to be found because it rained and only he was partially burnt. So that weekend, my mom usually would pick him up from work or whatever. He managed like this Hardee's, and he told my mom, "Hey, I'm just gonna go to the wife's house or whatever, help or whatever." And he never like showed up back to her house, like my mom's house, because he was staying with us. So my mom said that was odd because her brother would never not call her to let her know that what's going on. And so a day goes by. My mom just had this like intuition, man. So she was driving home. She went to be a correctional officer, and she was driving home from like a training or whatever. And she looked in her rearview mirror. This is the story she told me. She looked in her rearview mirror, and she saw her brother in her back seat, like sitting in the back seat looking at her.
Yeah.
And she said that's when she know he was dead. So she filed a missing persons report on that. And when she filed a missing persons report, the police had told her that his wife had already filed one. So she was like, that's odd.
Because she didn't
So a
call us
week,
or anything. Yeah.
exactly. So a week goes by. I come home from school, man. I'll never forget this. I see these police cars in the driveway. I walk into the main door in the living room, and I see them sitting down with my mom. And I'm typing something because I needed paper. I was typing something on the floor, and I hear them behind me. And they said they were showing her pictures, and like they were like, "Hey, we just need you to identify to see whether or not this is who it is." And my brother had two gold teeth. Oh, my uncle had two gold teeth in his mouth. One with I for his name Ishmael, and the one with M for his wife's name is Maddie. And my mom, he had tattoos all over his body too. And my mom said, "That's him." So they came to do a death notification and just to verify his identity with her. And she found out that he was murdered. Now, they didn't know who it was at first, but then they come down later to pinpoint the wife. She got arrested for it, and she ended up dying in prison uh, with lupus and all that a few years later, which she didn't spend her entire time. But she was emotionless in court, like just straight, you know, there was no, like, she just had a flat affect on everything that was going on. So that's like trauma number two. You know what I mean? Then as I went into high school, my grandfather died as well. That was like my man, old Puerto Rican, always cooking and barbecue. You know how all the Puerto Rican guys would sit, they barbecue, they play dominoes and drink beer,
Yeah.
you
That was
know?
it.
That was my granddad, man. That was my granddad. And so he died when I was like 19 years old. Um, but when I went to high school, this is what really propelled me in a different direction. I played football my 10th grade year, and then I joined ROTC. When I joined the ROTC, my commander in chief, God bless his soul, Chief Brigham, they like figured and looked at me because I was just so into everything and I was just like wanting to do all this stuff. They were like, "Hey man, we see some leadership potential in you. We're gonna let you be a platoon leader next year." So I was like, "Hey, that's cool." So they sent me to like summer camp and all that. I came back the next year, was a platoon leader. And then with a year and a half in, they made me the commander of ROTC for my senior year, which is unheard of because usually it's an upperclassman who's been there for a couple years. I got it. So I ended up being on like every team. I was like the commander of the arm exhibition drill team. Those are the ones. Have you ever seen the silent drill team when they spin rifles and stuff?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
My team did that. We didn't do it silently, but we did that. And I was in a rifle team. Me and my best friend, we were like number one and number two in the state for rifle competitions. And dude, my uniform was loaded with medals and ribbons. Like it was cool. Like this is like was cool. Like that led me to the military, which I ended up going into the army. And eventually doing college and stuff. And I kind of went through a little bit of that. And I got deployed in 2006. And I went to Iraq, and I went to one of the hottest zones, which was Ramadi at the time, and they had like the Navy SEALs there, and really doing some hard stuff out there. We would see them all the time, but we were getting mortared and rocketed every single day. I mean, we would see people who a rocket would come in. I see rockets fly over my head, over my radar sight, and hit into our fob, and like we would like go out there, and there's people with their legs blown off, and you know, all kind of stuff, man. So, long story short on Iraq, I was in Ramadi for 3 months, and then we got moved to a different site, a place called TQ, which is Takadom, which is a lot less attacked, um, which was cool. But we got a chance to see some stuff. But as you see, like how I'm progressing on here, there's layer, and layer of different traumas and different hardships and different parts of levels of suffering in my life, because this is the stuff that is now building that foundation and that structure of who I am today. And if I erased all that, and as I continue on, if I erase all that, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I wouldn't be as strong as I am today. I wouldn't be that dad or that man that I need to be, that God has destined me to be without all of this hardship. Now I have something to speak about because there's a lot of guys out there who go through hardships. Like, damn, that dude did that.
Well, that's
Yeah,
exactly
bro.
it. There's a lot of guys who go through it just the same as you went through, but they don't make it on the other side, the positive, and, they end up in jail. I mean, you went through a lot of shit when you were a little kid up until you're an adult. I mean, seeing people die from, you know what I mean, when you were a child to now. So, I mean, you took a turn that a lot of people, I feel like, don't take.
Yeah.
And you explained it earlier when seeing the light and going down that road. So, that's huge to be able to do that, and motivating
Yeah.
too.
You have to look at everything as an opportunity, and most people don't look at it. A lot of times they look at it as it's, oh man, like I keep getting beat down, like some God doesn't like me, or man, so life doesn't just it's just forget about life. It's like, no, man, this is your opportunity to shine.
Yeah,
If you look at it as an opportunity to be progressive in such hardship, it's what I call it. I mean, it's called a storm. Like you have to look at this as a storm of a level of tempering who you need to be. A lot of people try to run away from the storm. Well, guess what? That storm is a lot faster than you are. You get tired, bro. The storm is going to follow you as you go. But do what buffaloes do. Face the storm, because they know if they face the storm, they go through the storm,
yep,
they're going to get out of it a whole lot faster. But not only that, you're going against it too. That's pressure. And when that pressure hits you, that's also tempering you and making you a lot stronger in the
a
process.
100%.
Every single person comes out of that storm a brand new being. This is what you have to look at it. Like this is how you have to look at it. And thankfully, I've had some mentors in my life to help switch that. You know, basic training helped. Going through basic and going through that hardship. I was like, I want to be the best at everything. It's hard, but if I just continue to just like take bite-sized pieces out of it, just like I don't have to take this whole thing on all head on. Take little pieces at a time. I would set myself little goals, man. Like if I make it to breakfast, I'm good.
Yeah,
All right, I made it to breakfast. Okay, now I need to just make it to lunch. Okay, I made it to lunch. It's good. Now I need to make it to dinner. All right, like I know every time in these different parts. I know the morning we're going to get hammered. I know the afternoon is more coaching and more classroom stuff. And then when I get into the evening, right after lunch, we're cleaning. So they're going to leave us alone a little bit, you know. And then it's like, all right, now we're going to go to bed. And then we had fire watch and doing all that. And then we got to repeat this stuff again. Well, yeah, I just do this every single day. It's 9 weeks of that, right? And that's just how I did. I did bite-sized pieces. But, you know, after coming home from Iraq, that was pretty tough for me, because when we go through that kind of brotherhood, that kind of, you ever heard of the term, blood is thicker than water, right?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people take that out of context. And Bedros Killian talks about it a lot too, and what it really means. The blood of the covenant is stronger than the water of the womb. So when you get around men who you shed blood with, you guys are freaking struggling with, you guys are going through hardship with, that's that blood that they're talking about, the blood of the covenant. The water of the womb is just sometimes your family is not going to be as close as it is than people that you meet in life and you struggle through life with. You know,
Yeah.
the people take it out of context. And this is why it's so good to have a really good circle. You need to audit who your circle is so that way you get around people who are at least way better than you. So
Absolutely.
that way, you become super great. And sometimes you got to kick a lot of your old peeps to the curb, man, because they're just hindering you there.
Yep.
They're just hindering you all over, man. And it's like, we don't think about that because we want to be people pleasers. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. No, 100%. And just like you were talking about earlier, because I watched a couple of your videos on Facebook too, and one of the great things that you were like, I'm chasing the storm, and it's so good to see. I mean, you can tell when you were going into your state trooper, and you said I was looking for the toughest. I wanted to be the best. I was looking for the best, and they were the toughest. And it's like most people don't think like that. You know what I mean? They want the easy way out. Um, but that's how you grow the best is when you go through the storm and you make it out on the other side, and that's how you really grow as a person.
Oh yeah, man. And it's you have to find in that same sense when you go through that struggle, you have to find mentors to help change your mindset because we get ingrained by our parents, we get ingrained by the environment, we get ingrained by school. You have to find people outside of that circle in places where you want to be and get around those same people. And people downplay mentors all the time, but they've already been through all the pitfalls. They've already failed. They've already done everything. They just shorten that time frame for you. And nobody speaks about mentors in the regular like society.
Yeah.
No one talks about it. They're like, oh, do everything what everybody else is doing. No, man. If the sheep are going one way, this line is going the other way. I'm not doing what everybody else does because that's usually the easiest route. It says the hardest thing is to going through that narrow path, and that's the right path to go through. It's sometimes it's so narrow that it takes you getting stripping down butt naked and you scraping through this path and skin is coming off. That's how freaking narrow that path is, you know. But we all forget about that, and we just life has been so like the United States has the biggest safety net in the world. You can literally lose everything and still survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we kind of look at these hardships and people don't really, it's not really a hardship.
Yeah, no, we are so I could go on for days about that, and we are so lucky in this country. It's unbelievable. People take it for granted. The way it's going now, it's mind blowing to see. Um,
It's sad.
it really is. It really is. But yeah, so when you started your group for dads, or for men, I guess in general,
Mhm.
did you do that um trying to help dads, or was it like when you were going through your divorce, or were you not through your divorce yet and you just were like, let me just help men be better? Hey guys, thanks for watching another episode of Daddy Issues. If you guys could help support the podcast over on patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth, it would mean a lot. We got a lot more content over there. We have Q&As. If you have questions for an attorney and you don't want to go through your attorney, we will try to get those answered for you, so you're not paying, a couple $100 for your attorney to get a quick answer on a question you have. You can even jump on the podcast if you want to share your story. So head on over patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth, and thank you guys. All right, back to the episode. But yeah, so when you started your group for dads, or for men, I guess in general, did you do that um trying to help dads, or was it like when you were going through your divorce, or were you not through your divorce yet and you just were like, let me just help men be better?
It's interesting you said that. I actually started really putting it together. I got the pull back in 2020. And speaking of 2020, I was a trooper from 2008 up until 2000, April 10th of 2020. Like COVID happened like March 20th or something like that in 2020. And I was a damn good trooper, man. And one thing about me is I take nobody's bull. No one. You put your pants on like me. If I think it's BS, I will call you out. I don't care what your rank is. I will do it respectfully, to respect the rank, but you got to understand you're still a man just like me. And we're both men, and that's how I look at it. You're a man before that uniform, and that's how I look at it. And there was a lot, dude. I would call stuff out, and they didn't like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not there to be a people pleaser. I'm not there to kiss anybody's tail. I will never kiss anyone's tail. I will suffer before I kiss somebody's tail to give me something. I'll just go figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So after a while, like I had this thing with my old sergeant, man, and we almost got into a fight in the conference room. And long story short, they ended up coming after me about some stuff. They were making some stuff up, and I everything they accused me of, I proved it wrong. Now, even with the case with it, because I went after it in circuit court and all that, they're saying that it was justified. And I'm like, nah, they're not telling you everything. I have all the documents, all the recordings, the transcripts of everything, dude. I told the truth about everything. I proved what they said I was doing. I proved my side with videos. I proved it with documents, and I still got hit.
Yeah.
Where they lied about things. They got caught in lies. They got caught in the circuit court lying. People were saying opposite things from what they had said to the investigator in my trial board, and nothing happened to these people. Nothing. And false report is a termination offense.
Hmm.
So they hit me with all this other stuff, man. And I was like, wow, I was mind blown that how I got terminated after proving all this stuff. So right now it's this big lawsuit going on about racial discrimination and all that stuff with the DOJ and everything on the state police, which I'm also like involved with, and I can't like say details and
Right.
stuff
Of
like that,
course.
but it's
Yeah.
going on right now. Um, but it's because of a lot of the good old boy system in there,
Hmm.
and a lot of people have suffered. I've seen great troopers who did nothing compared to a lot of these other troopers that had connections get terminated over some crap.
Yeah.
And then they have like the pick and choose kind of thing because people speak up. Like, I'm not going to let you just walk over me just because of the fact that you're a captain or a sergeant. No, sir. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
it doesn't work like
Yeah.
that, you know? So that led me on to going into 2020. And now this is where it hit me because my identity was that badge and that uniform. Like it's crazy, and people don't understand. I wore a uniform since the age of 16.
Yeah.
ROTC, went to the military, and then joined state police. So my identity was the uniform. I didn't know who I was personally as a man at first. I always had a uniform on, and that gave me confidence. All of a sudden, dude, I went dark. I mean, ultra dark. And as I was fighting all of this with the state police and the rug getting pulled from underneath me, I'm like, what the hell? How am I not winning this? I'm showing everything they want and showing and proving this. Why am I not getting cut loose off this? And after a while, bro, I was just like, you know what, God? I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. You want me to focus on you. Stop trying to be so, because I don't quit. I'm hard, dude. I needed to surrender. I needed to surrender, not surrender to the fact of what they were doing, but surrender to him. Once I did that and just said, you know what, I'm here. I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to focus on the relationship with you. Bro, that dark side went away. Like it's crazy. And when people tell me they don't believe in God, I'm like, I'm sorry for you, man. Like, I pray for you. I'm so sorry you feel that way. I don't understand it. I know you probably went through some crap in life, and maybe you're not seeing it, and maybe just it's a lot of times it's just the attitude towards things. But what I realized is that when I started, dude, I was talking to God like he was my dad sitting in the car with me. Like, I wouldn't get on my knees every morning and every night. It was literally conversations all day long. I'll be driving to the gym. Hey, Dad, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for putting me back on this wake up list. I know that because I'm waking up every day now, or you're waking me up this morning, that you have a purpose for me every single day. What is it that you need me to do? I want to build this relationship with you because I love you and I know you love me. I'm still here. What is going on? Bro, I felt this incredible peace over me, man. When I was feeling down, that went away.
Right.
All of it went away. Like it's cool. I can't explain it. It's like a manifestation. I cannot explain it. People just have to trust and go through that process, and eventually they will get it. But some people don't give it a chance. They blame him for everything, for things they have control over. He's not going to interfere
Absolutely.
with anything you have control over. It's not going to happen. Dude, count your freaking blessings.
Yep.
You got two hands, you got 2 feet, you got mouth, ears, you got the biggest supercomputer in the world in the 6 inches of your head. And people don't take it and use that to just become better. I had to learn that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say, is that what you're teaching now, to these other men?
Yeah, man. It's like I started this program because of the fact that I had nothing. I didn't. I'm looking for things, and I'm like, I had nothing to help me at all. There were no men that I could get myself and surround myself with to get around a round table of a council and be able to brainstorm things to become better. I didn't have that. So, and then I didn't see it anywhere. So I was like, well, why not create one? You
Yeah.
know, this was back in 2020. I didn't know how the heck to do it. And you know what? And as I did start it, it kind of fell from the wayside because I was like, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
so I just started posting things on social media, getting on lives and trying to speak just from my heart and what I was going through. And, you'll probably go back a lot through my social media. I did a lot of live videos about different mindset things and stuff of what I was going through, even through like with my relationship with my soon to be ex-wife. And so then I was like, well, heck, let's put it together. So I ended up calling it the Modern King Mandate. I want men to understand that they are the kings, right? They are the kings that are destined to take on and be the rulers of their kingdom in their households. And that's going to encompass learning how to do being in their faith, taking care of their family, getting their health and fitness right, and all their finances correct. And I'm still a work in progress to that, but I'm around people who are doing those things to help get me to that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Surrounding yourself in that good circle.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm at a level where I'm a little bit just above some of those guys that need help, that I can help pull them in the direction that I'm in. And then as I progress,
Exactly.
I can pull them more. So I don't have to be that perfect dude, because a lot of us are like perfection. We got to have everything perfect, right? No, man. You get good and you perfect it on the progress and process of this entire endeavor, you know? So that's what I did. I started that and I really dialed in more into it last year. And I got a couple guys that are working with me on it, and I'm trying to build it on as we go. And things are going to be happening here real soon with that. Um, but man, and I didn't tell you, there's more trauma in my life that has happened, like significant trauma. My freaking brother was murdered in 2016, my youngest baby brother, and it was through a dating app.
Oh God.
Yeah, bro. It was through a dating app, and Plenty of Fish. And if you go and research go on Plenty of Fish murder.
His
My
story will
brother's
pop up.
name, oh gosh, bro,
Yeah.
his name is Adam Hilaire. Okay, um, and the girl that he was dating, her name was Haley Bustos. Okay, so you can probably go search that up. It'll pop up. It was world news, and he was dating her for a couple days. They went on a couple dates, and from what the story that the girl told, because there was three other men involved too, was they met. He came back to his apartment. She cased the apartment to see what was in there. Went on a couple dates with him, and one night she went home, but she came back in the middle of the night. So she knocked on his door. He looks out the window. She sees that it's her. He goes and opens the door, and three men rush in. Come
Oh,
in.
so it was. I thought. Yeah. Yeah, so it was like a setup from the beginning.
Yes,
Okay. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And when they came in, they took my brother to his kitchen. He had a small apartment down in Auburndale, Florida, and took him to the kitchen and put him down on his knees. And he's like, "Look, take what you want. I got a 5-year-old daughter. Don't,
Oh.
whatever. Just take it." And Andre Warner executed my brother, shot him in the back of the head.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And the next day, I get a call from my brother, my other brother who's under me. His name is Angel. My brother usually doesn't call me right out the gate. He'll text me or whatever. Like I was texting me and him and my other brother the other day, trying to do something for my mom for her birthday coming up. And I answer the phone, and my brother is hysterical crying. And he was like, they killed Booby. Booby's dead because my brother's nickname is Booby. Booby's dead. Booby's dead. And I'm like, bro, stop playing. Like that's how I didn't. I'm like, what?
Right.
This shocked. And I'm like, nah, bro, it's not happening to me. Stop playing. I'm like, bro, stop playing. Nah, bro, Booby's dead. Booby's dead. I'm like, what? Like, dude, I got thrown for a loop. Like, and it didn't hit me right away. So I'm like, well, calm down. Like, does mama know? Like, you talk to mama, whatever. She's like, yeah, mama knows. She's over there right now. You know, the police got a section off, whatever. I'm like, what happened? We don't know yet. Blah blah blah. So then I'm like, all right. I called my uncle. I was like, I'm gonna call Uncle Cornelius. I called my uncle. I told him, dude, it was like he dropped. He's like, nah, like I'm getting teary, like my throat and stuff because of my brother. But and then bro, like maybe 30 minutes later, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, it's like this is because why it hit me so late because of the stuff that I've been through in the state police. I see death all the time, fatal accidents. You know, I mean, heck, there was a girl that was 7 years old that I couldn't save. That's still in my head.
Yeah.
From a car accident, trying to resuscitate her. I that f's my head up still with that. But that delay is because of the stuff that I've been through. And so when it hit me, bro, I broke. Like I try to be tough. I'm the oldest. I try to be tough for my brothers and my family. I broke, man. I lost it. You know, and so after that, I flew down to Florida. We went through all that, and like 3 days later, they caught all four of them.
Oh wow.
And yeah, they caught all four of them, and they were diligent. Arbondale Police did a fantastic job with that. Um, I gotta give a shout out to them on that too, man. But they got him, and so when they went through the whole trial for the murder, dude, that dude had like he looked at my mom when they found him guilty of it. He looked at my mom and smiled at my mom.
Isn't
It was
that
just
crazy?
evil,
Just
bro.
no remorse, nothing, no
Yeah,
feelings. Damn.
bro, it was evil, bro.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, well, my brother, he used to do little amateur MMA fights and stuff. So I was like, man, so he could fight, you know what I mean? But he was like, man, just take everything.
Right.
But that led me to martial arts. I was like, never. I feel it would be a fight to the death for me.
Yeah.
I'll never surrender to anyone. And so that's what got me into the martial arts, and you know, that was history with that. I love martial arts. Um, but I have a story that, you know, when I see men going through the things that they're going through, it's like, bro, I want you to understand the situation you're in. You always got to remember that there's somebody who would trade with you. Someone would
Absolutely.
they would trade lives with you if they could.
Dude, I say that all the time when people are feeling like that. I say that literally because I'm like, think about people with, no legs or no arms or they have diseases and stuff like that. And you're walking around healthy as hell. You're just having a bad day. And it's like, dude, this dude would
Yeah,
take your
bro.
place all day long.
And that's how
Yeah.
they got to look at it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Man, they got to look at it as, I'm just having a bad moment. It's like they'll let one little 5 minute incident after a whole day up.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, it's 5 minutes of a bad moment. Make the rest of the day the better. Like, why would you let 1% of your day destroy the other 99%? Like, you have to let a lot of stuff go and just move on. You know what I'm saying? And you're capable of coming out of the situation that you're in, unless you are just like broken in the hospital and, laying in a bed, you can't move. There's not much you can do with that. But when you got everything moving, you lost your job. Great. I did too.
Right.
I lost my job, right? I lost my identity, right? I was broken into pieces, but I used those pieces, man. When I got down and surrendered, I was able to get with God, man. And I took those pieces and I built myself into who I needed to be. And God helped me do that. And after that, man, I just started getting into the books, man. I started getting around people. And The one guy that helped me through a lot of stuff, man, is David Goggins.
Dude, you
That
have that whole vibe, that David Goggins vibe too. I was gonna say that earlier. Just like the way you talk about, like, get your shit together, and you know what I mean. It's on you. I was gonna
yeah,
say that earlier. Yeah.
dude, that book can't hurt me, man. I listened to that audiobook. I didn't read the actual book, but the audiobook is like it's an audiobook podcast slash radio show because it was great because they would talk about different things in this book live in the audiobook. And but I listened to that two times back to back on vacation when I was driving down and then coming back, and then like I would work out to the podcast in my ear, like just playing in my headphones, and I'm just like, dude, can't hurt me. Nothing can hurt me. Only thing I have control of everything. Nothing can hurt me. So, um, so yeah, David Guy was my dude. I actually saw him talk at Limitless Arena a couple weekends ago.
Oh, nice.
Um, it was live, bro. It was live, man. A lot of good speakers out there, and I just I needed to get to a point where it didn't matter how I felt about stuff. I had to push through and do what I needed to do, regardless of how I felt. Too many of us get into our feelings. Too many get into our emotions, where it keeps us stagnant, and we got to get out of that. Discipline is absolute key because you're never going to be motivated to do anything, especially when when you're going through the storm. You're going to want to sit down and not do anything at all. But you have to maintain the discipline to move anyway. Even if it's freaking crawling an inch, you're still moving forward. When you sit still, the world is going to continue to move forward, which means you're actually going backwards.
Mm.
You can't stay stagnant. Depression, and I'll say this, and I don't care what nobody thinks. Depression is all in your head. It is all in your head. If you were progressive, you take what it is that you're trying to do and you continue to trying to move forward, you will not be depressed. You could feel down, you'll feel down, but as far as clinical depression, nah, that's on you. That is a lie that they tell you to get you on medications to keep you coming back as a customer to put more money in their pockets. No, bro. I went through some stuff
Right.
in my
You're literally
entire
living
life.
proof of all of that since a child. So yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of dads need to hear that. That was a good line.
Yeah, you can't sit here and believe that depression is a thing. Get off your tail. And and this is another thing with this whole program that I want. It's tough love, man. I'm
Yep.
sorry about your feelings. The truth doesn't care about your feelings. It will never care about your feelings, which is why I speak the truth. Even in my social media, when like, and especially like a lot of these women don't like what I say. I don't care. If and there's a lot of weak men out there who don't like what I say. I don't care. If I lose you as a follower, so be it. I'm not for you.
Hmm.
I'm not going to sugarcoat life. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything to make you feel better about yourself. You need to pull yourself up, grab your sack or whatever else, and man up. Like that's how I look at
But
it.
that's exactly what men need to hear for sure,
Yeah,
especially if they're going through something like that, going through something like a divorce or
absolutely.
whatever. Yeah.
And that's what I'm going through right now. Like,
Yeah.
you know, my ex, soon to be ex-wife has an issue with an addiction with medication. As a former trooper, I started to notice the nuances of it. I started to notice the onset of her getting high. And she's so good at hiding things and manipulation of people that people thought I was crazy.
Hmm.
And I'm like, how the heck is this possible? Like I'm the expert here. Like I'm seeing this, I'm watching it happen. And you're all telling me that I'm lying because she was really good at manipulating her friends and her family. Like even her aunt, like didn't even believe me. And I'm like, gosh, dang, like nobody. So they looked at me as controlling and narcissistic and all that. And I'm like, dude. And then I started to think to myself, like, dang, am I crazy? Like, you know? So eventually it just got to the point where I was like, I'm just going to record it. So when she got high, I recorded it. And sure, when I sent it off to her aunt, when I sent it off to other people, they're like, oh my gosh, you weren't lying. Well, I wasn't. Like, it's like, why did I have to have a video to prove that to you?
Right.
Well, she knows the game. She's a nurse. She knows how to play the system, and it's all prescribed. And the problem with prescription is it's so easy to get. you can go on a virtual Zoom call with a doctor and get medication without
Oh,
even being there.
really? Holy shit!
Yeah.
I didn't
So
know that. Fuck.
that's what she was doing. She was
Yeah.
going on virtuals to get medication. And I'm like, she wouldn't even let me go to doctor's appointments with her because she knew I would ask questions,
Right. Yep.
you know? So it got to the point, man, where like it was becoming dangerous for the kids. Dude, I called CPS on my wife twice.
Damn.
Who would do that?
Right.
What husband would do that, right? That right there, that was one of the hardest things for me to do.
Yeah.
Okay. I did that. They saw it, but how much can they do? Because when they drug test her, the prescription, it voids out the stuff in her urine because or her hair because of the fact that it's prescribed. So they can't use that in a drug test
Now,
because of that.
are you guys gonna have like? Are you hoping to have like a clean divorce? Is it going to be a clean divorce, or do you think it's going to be like messy and especially with kids involved?
I think I'm the reason I'm very reasonable.
Yeah.
I don't know because she's already been through a divorce one, and it's funny you say that because now because she kept me and her ex-husband away from each other because she put a big bridge in between, or not a bridge, but a wall between that, and keeping us thinking to each other that we didn't like each other,
Yeah.
and was giving false narratives to each other. And when I did the CPS thing, I told her, hey, you need to get your stuff together, or I'm going to go to your ex because of the custody of the three stepkids. And freaking, she didn't listen. So I went to her attorney first in their custody case, and I tried that to see whether or not they could get her to do stuff because I was going to say, hey, look, I'm going to go to your opposing counsel if you're not going to do it. So they were like, well, we can't talk to you, whatever. I'm like, all right, whatever. So then she got wind of it. She got mad at me or whatever. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I went to her attorney two more times. And then that third time I said, look, I have video. I want to show you this. And then they basically were like, well, she can't talk to you. We're not going to listen to you. You can write it down or whatever. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go to opposing counsel. And when I went home that day, I got her ex-husband's phone number and I sent him a text message. And I say, hey, I know we haven't talked. We've had a lot of things against us. And I think a lot of times, she did it. I said, but I'm coming to you with these videos to help you with your custody case against her. And I said, if you need somebody to testify, I will testify on your behalf against her. What husband will do that?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Because it became a safety issue. And her falling asleep with the kids in the car, I was like, man, I'm not going to have these kids. Will she get into an accident?
Yep.
She kills them and she survives. Nah, bro.
Yep.
And then it can come back on me as a former trooper letting this happen. No, sir. Nah. So I did what was the hardest thing for me to do, but was actually the best thing that needed to be done, which was a wake up call. So, is it going to be nasty? It'll be nasty because of her, not me.
Yeah.
I'm willing to work things out to make it a smooth transition. But again, she is very, very vindictive. And I've never seen her act how she has been acting recently because of, the whole divorce and separation. I've never seen this person in my entire life.
But I bet if you go ask the ex-husband, she's acting like this, I bet he's gonna be like, that's exactly how she acted when we got divorced.
And Dan, you know what? That's exactly what he said. Okay.
Yeah.
And later on, around August, I found out she was having an affair with one of her like guys she knew back from high school. I actually got it off her phone. I saw the notification pop on her phone, and it was hidden. And I'm like, yo, what's that? And she was like, oh, it's so. Long story short, I was able to get the phone, and then I looked at it. Dude, I screenshotted over almost 400 screenshots of her conversation with this dude, and it was all sex this and blowjob that or whatever else. And I'm just like, dang. And she was sending a picture of my kids.
Yeah. Dude, how do you handle something like that? Because I've never gone through that, but that would fucking break me. I don't know what I would do.
I was angry.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie. Like I'm human, just like anyone else. When I saw it, I was angry because there was 3 months that she wasn't intimate with me at all. Like I'm like, dude, I'm like fit. I do everything that I can to take care of the family. Dude, I bought her $100,000 car, like, for taking care of the kids when I transitioned into automotive sales, like, because it's a brutal industry where you don't get a chance, you got to work,
yeah,
and it's commission based. And it was just like, wow, I did all these things, and she wasn't cooking dinners. Like I had to come home and cook for like, I'm like, dang. And then come to find out, she was out doing stuff with other men. And it's crazy when you say with the ex-husband, it was the same two guys with him.
Oh, no way. Wow. Because it was
Yeah,
familiar. It's probably just easy, you know? Let me text
yeah.
these dudes and yeah, get right back.
And and like later on, like as time progressed on, I found out she was talking to more guys,
Yeah.
and like things have happened and stuff like that, that she was talking to more guys and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I tried to reconcile because once I found out, she asked me to take her to her mom's, and I said, all right, cool, I'll take her to your mom's. And I took her to her mom's, and then that morning she got a protective order against me, and I'm like, what? For like, and I read the statement on it, and I'm like, wow. So I got kicked out of my house at 10 o'clock that night. So I ended up going with staying with my pastor, and I was willing to reconcile to keep the family together.
Isn't it happens every all these dads that come on and talk about that, it's the same thing. They're always
Yep.
like thinking logical and you know what I mean? And it's always the woman who just can't get over her feelings or whatever it might be and just acting crazy.
Yeah. Like this is why I say men are self-sacrificial.
Yeah.
Men will self-sacrifice themselves for their family. Women won't. A lot of women won't.
Yeah.
They always say a man will give up his happiness for his family. A woman will give up her family for her happiness.
Yep.
You hear that a lot, and it's a lot of that is true. It's like I'm not happy with you. Okay, well you're responsible for your own happiness. It's not my job to make you happy. It's your job to make you happy. We got to find joy with each other in our life. We move in progression with each other. We bring our two paths together like this, in order to create joy. And like marriage is almost like a business enterprise. It's not about
Hmm.
happiness, and that's what the world is telling them that, hey, you need to figure out what it is that makes you happy, do whatever it is to make you happy. And that's the problem with why there's over 50% of divorces now. And then the statistics are showing that by the 2030, a lot of these women, are probably about half or so percent, are going to be single and childless because of the fact that this is what the world is telling them, you know, and
Yep.
they think they don't need a man. No, no, you need a man, just like how we need women. I don't care what anybody says. I'm good by myself. No, you're not. It
Yep.
is a lot easier to do life with a partner than it is to do it by yourself. Imagine taking on 100% of every single bill versus having to split it with somebody else. Like it's that's not rocket science,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
But you know, so with that, yeah, I tried to reconcile, and then it got to the point where she was still doing her thing, and I'm like, nah, man. And so I beat the protective order. The judge saw that she had no merit. She
Yeah.
couldn't even keep her story straight. So I beat the protective order. And then a week later, or 3 days later, actually, I saw her doing her thing again. And I'm like, look, grabbed my daughter and I said, we're going to leave. And so she's like, well, her and I have dinner tonight. I said, no. I said, you have dinner tonight. Her and I have dinner tonight. So I'm walking out the door and she's like yelling my daughter's name and trying to get her all riled up. And of course, she's mom.
Yeah.
So, my daughter's like reaching out for her and stuff. And I'm like walking down the stairs. And as I'm walking down the last flight of my stairs, my daughter's like reaching out like this. She grabs my daughter's arms and yanks her as I'm walking down the stairs, which pulls me off my feet. And I land on my back with my daughter in my arms. And as I get up, I'm like, what the F? And she's like, well, I'm just going to call the police. And I said, you know what? Don't worry about it. I got it. And
Right.
I got
Right.
on my phone. I got on the phone and I called the Hartford County Sheriff Department, and they came out. I walked up the street, and then they asked if she was still there. I'm like, yeah. So they go down there, and we're talking to her after they talk to me, and uh, and then they're like, hey, just want to let you know we're going to arrest her for domestic second abuse assault. And I'm like,
Wow.
and I was like, well, I didn't really want you guys to arrest her or
But you
anything.
do
That's
you.
not why I called. But they're like, well, there is no gray area in domestic violence.
Right.
So, and this is me. Like, it's crazy. Like, I'm the guy, and I'm like, I don't want you to arrest her. They're like, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So I was like, I said, well, let me ask you this. I said, is it okay before you take her? Can my daughter go see her before she goes? Like, this is how we think.
I was gonna say, how many women would do that if it
Bro,
was the other way around?
I'm,
Zero.
I'm telling you, I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
Yeah.
This is how we think. We're self-sacrificial. We're not the ones that are trying to be vindictive. Don't get me wrong. There is a percentage of men out there who are just like women, okay, with that mentality. There are a lot of guys out there that are like that, but the percentage compared to women is very low.
Yeah.
Okay, you see a lot more of women abusing the system than men do. Okay, so I bring her over so she can see her. They try. I wanted her not to even see her in handcuffs. Let her sit in the car and then bring her up to the window to see her. So she ends up coming home that night. Man, they release her on her recognizance, and she comes home that night with two deputies and to come get some stuff. And she tried to take my daughter, and I'm like, nope, we're not doing that. And so they're like, well, you can get a protective order or whatever. So she goes upstairs to go cuddle with her real quick. And then she's like, I'm going to take her. And I'm like, no, you're not. So the deputies were like, you didn't come here for this. You came here to get stuff. That's it. And she's like, but I'm going to take my daughter. They're like, I'm like, no, you're not. And then the deputy's like, ma'am, you didn't come here for this. Grab your stuff and go. So I ended up grabbing my daughter and then going to the courthouse to get a protective order against her, in which the next couple of days we got the hearing. I win the hearing from the district court. They moved it to the circuit court, and then I win the final. But I modified it because I wanted my daughter to see her.
Yeah.
I didn't want a year of no contact. If I didn't have my daughter, I would have been like, okay, whatever. I didn't want a year of no contact because I wanted my daughter to see her mom. She needs her mom. So in order for her to see her, she needed to agree and consent to going to a 28-day inpatient treatment and also doing an outpatient treatment after that. That's extensive. Okay. So she agreed to that to allow her to see her, to do 2 night routines twice a week on the days that we agree on. So that way she can put my daughter to bed and see her. Plus, if we go out, and meet somewhere in public, we can do that, but I'm the supervisor. So that's how we ended up doing it. So with that, like, and FaceTiming, she can FaceTime my daughter. Bro, even with that, she doesn't FaceTime consistently. She doesn't show up consistently. She's out doing her thing with going out and partying and bars and drinking and hanging out and doing things with other guys and stuff. And I'm just like, yo, bro, like you can't put your daughter as a priority.
Right.
Like, so I just documented stuff, man, as we went with that. And now we go through that whole 6 months because it was a 6 month time frame and it was about to expire. So I was like, you didn't go to treatment yet. I went and filed for an extension of another 6 months and also contempt for her not to follow through with the court order. So, and that's got postponed twice because she keeps saying her lawyer isn't prepared. So I have another hearing with that to extend it out on the 16th of May because she hasn't got her stuff together. And I got to sit here and wait on that because the court, again, if I didn't show up for court, they would have been like, it's done.
Absolutely. And so you essentially have full custody right now of your kids.
Right now, I have custody of her primary legal and I also have the house.
Yeah. Okay.
So she's been out of the house for probably 7 months now. And man, it's gotten to the point, and she's still getting, dude, just the other couple of days ago when I was on FaceTime she was FaceTiming my daughter and she just looked high, bro. And I'm like, I screenshotted it because that's how bad it looked.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, like you're still not even stopping the stuff, man. Her mom died, so she inherited some stuff and she has money and all that. And, she's still getting that stuff, man. It's sad. I feel sorry for my daughter. And it's now my daughter's getting to the point where my daughter doesn't even want to talk to her. She's 3.
Right.
And doesn't even want to talk to her and stuff. And I'm like, it is what it is. She's doing it to herself. I'm going to be the dad that I need
100%.
to be, irregardless of what her mom. I try to keep her mom in, but if her mom doesn't want to be there, that's on her, man. And, I'm just going to do what I need to do for her.
Right. But good for you, man, for having you're a full-time parent, and
Yeah.
going through all the stuff that you're going through, but you're not being stagnant. You know what I mean? You're still like being motivated and moving forward and starting groups and all that. So good for you, man. If you could give some dads some advice, what would it be?
Just like this, bro. Any hardship you go through, my men, and I gotta say this because you have to look at it like this. Every single hardship you go through is necessary. It is your furnace of affliction. What I mean by that is when you take a piece of iron, you have to put it into the furnace to heat it up. Okay. This is pressure. This is where it gets very, very hard, right? Life gets hard. The fire is hot. The fire is painful. Then that piece of iron comes out. It's just orange because it's just lit up. And then it gets beaten. And this is more hardship. You're just getting slammed, right? And then you get put into the water, you cool off, and you have a little easy days. You have a couple easy days. And you go back into the fire, get heated up again. You get beat, and then beaten, and you go back into the water again. What do they usually do to what is made out of that? What makes that, right? It a lot of times it's a fine edged blade that turns from iron to steel. It makes it harder. It makes it stronger. It makes it more durable. That is the furnace. It takes heating it up, takes the impurities and raises it to the top. And the impurities are being beaten out of you and beaten out of you and beaten out of you until you become pure. That's what the furnace of affliction is. You have to go through hardships to raise all of those impurities inside of you, to get knocked out of you, have you realize it's awareness, to have you realize, right, to rid it. And you'll have those cool moments where you kind of come down again and you start realizing some things, right, to help you start getting in your mind and, hey, I got to do certain things to get better, to go back into the fire again. It's all part of life. It's all part of suffering. Life is suffering. It's called long suffering. It's called long suffering, my bros. You have to suffer in life. Okay. But every time you go through that whole furnace of affliction, you're stronger through the process. So all the stuff that you dealt with before, that stuff becomes a little easier, right? It doesn't bother you as much anymore. And then you have more hardships hit you later on in life. It's a little bit harder, but because you've gotten to that, you leveled up, you became durable, you became stronger, it doesn't hit you as hard. So my level of dealing with certain things compared to others are going to be different. I might be able to take on harder challenges or harder hardships versus somebody else because I've been through many storms and I chase storms where I go after hard stuff. I have to put my, just like Goggins says, man, I have to continue to get myself harder and better because when life hits, it's not going to jack me up as much because I've already prepared myself on purpose. It's pain on purpose, suffering on purpose. Men are afraid of pain. Humans in general are afraid of pain. Chase the freaking pain and get more durable. You're going to go through it. You might as well just do it on purpose. This is what I say to you.
I like that. Might as well do it on purpose. That's
You
nice.
might as well do it on purpose.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit about that. And I hope you keep pushing forward with the Modern Kings. That it just sounds like it's so good. It's such like a Goggins thing, and I love that. I love that.
Yes, sir, man. And I really appreciate you, Dan. And I really like, I'm very thankful that you're doing this, man. Because again, men need that awareness and to understand that masculinity is a must. Dad is destiny. They need more fathers in the home because it will solve every societal ill in the entire world. This is a worldwide epidemic, and we need more men to stand up.
Isn't it funny? We see we have the statistic. We see what's happening, and still no one's trying to actually like help that, pull that back and keep dads in the homes because
Dude,
that is the problem.
oh yeah. Well, the enemy knows that. The
Right?
enemy
Yeah.
knows that division and separation is necessary. When you got it's harder to break this than it is to break this.
Yeah.
So division is necessary for the enemy to win. This is why everything is divided. The family unit makes up the communities. The community makes up the world. If you break up the family unit, you will not have a community. So that's why the family, marriage, parents, and children are all under attack. And you see it in the world today. Attack men. Let's make men look like idiots. Let's empower women. Let's go after the women. Okay, now we're gonna hit the women, and they're no longer mothers anymore. They're birthing people and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
and then you go after the children. You got all these pedophiles out there going after kids and trying to indoctrinate children to be confused and who the heck they are supposed to be. I'm non-binary, this and that. And I'm just like, dude, you wonder why the world is effed up the way it is.
Right. Yeah. We need to get back to how it was. I
Yeah,
think so.
absolutely.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Hey guys, thanks for watching another episode of Daddy Issues. If you guys could help support the podcast over on patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth, it would mean a lot. We got a lot more content over there. We have Q&As. If you have questions for an attorney and you don't want to go through your attorney, we will try to get those answered for you, so you're not paying, a couple $100 for your attorney to get a quick answer on a question you have. You can even jump on the podcast if you want to share your story. So head on over patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth. And thank you guys.
You can hold me down. You can hold me down. You can hold me down.